Now, if an individual may be minor child or major. Major means above 80, minor means below 80. And such an individual wants to become a resident in India. So he must satisfy any one conditions out of the two conditions. Now, why we will find out the residential status of an individual. Why we will find out the residential status of an individual? Because we have to find out his taxable income. We have to find out the taxable income of an individual, and for that purpose we have to understand the residential status. Because taxable income, if I say that particular income is taxable, he has to pay the tax. The taxability is depend on the residential status of an individual. Taxable, whether income is taxable or not, it depend on individual residential status. Individual residential status. Therefore, we have to find out residential status. Why we find out the residential status? Because taxability of the income depend on the residential status of an individual. The section 6 provide the certain conditions regarding residential status. We can say that if an individual, if an individual he wants to become resident in India, he has to satisfy, he has to satisfy any one condition out of two conditions. One thing you have to keep in mind, if an individual wants to become a resident in India, he has to satisfy any one condition out of two conditions. दोन कंडिशन्स पैकी एक कंडिशन जर एखाद्या इंडिव्हिज्युअलने सॅटिस्फाय केली, तर such individual we can say that he is a resident in India. Is a resident in India. So what are the two conditions? The first condition, if he is in India 182 days or more in previous year. Previous year. If he is in India 182 days or more in previous year, such an individual will be considered as a resident in India. Suppose this particular condition is there. If he doesn't satisfy, we have a or. He can satisfy second condition. If he is in India 60 days or more in previous year, and he was in India 65 days more in four preceding preceding previous years. See friends, these two conditions are there. Any one condition, if an individual satisfy, he will be treated as a resident in India. He will be treated as a resident in India. Now, previous year. Now, previous year, it may be start from 1st April, maybe 2020 to 31st March 2021. This year is called as the previous year. This particular year, if an individual is stay in India 182 days, if he stay in India 182 days or more, he will be treated as resident under section 6 subsection 1. Now, if he doesn't satisfy the first condition, then we have a second condition. Now, in our second condition, this says that if he is in India 60 days or more in previous year, in this particular previous year, 1st April 2020 to 31st March 2021, in this particular period, if he is in India 60 days or more, then we have to consider, then additional condition they are provided. If he was in India 365 days or more in 4 years preceding previous years. 4 years preceding previous year. Means 4 years preceding previous year means preceding means before. Preceding means before. Previous year preceding. Before the previous years, 4 years. So before the previous year, 4 years means 1st April 2019 to 31st March 2020. Then after that, this particular 4 years, first year, second, third, and fourth. This particular 4 years, this particular 4 years, he stay in India 365 days or more, then he will be treated as a resident. First condition says that if he is in India only in this particular previous year 182 days, then he will be treated as a resident. Now, second condition, if he doesn't satisfy this condition, the second condition is there. If he is in India 60 days or more in previous year, this particular period, 1st April 2020 to 31st March 2021, this particular previous year, if he is in India 60 days and he must satisfy additional condition also. He was in India 365 days or more in 4 years preceding previous year. 4 years means this previous years before 4 years. He must be stay in India 365 days. Then we can say that an individual is a resident. Any one condition he must satisfy, then we will treat it as a resident. If an individual doesn't satisfy both the conditions, if an individual doesn't satisfy both the conditions, then such an individual will be treated as non-resident. See friends, if he doesn't satisfy both the conditions, he will be treated as a non-resident. If they satisfy this first condition, then he will be treated as a resident. If he doesn't satisfy first condition, we have to consider the second condition. If he satisfies the both second conditions with additional conditions, then he will be treated as a resident. If he doesn't satisfy both the conditions are not satisfied, then he will be treated as a non-resident. Yes, do you have any doubt? Yes, कोणाला काय doubt है? You can ask the question. Yes, is there any doubt? Say yes or no, or put in chat box yes or no. Okay, now what happened? Sometime what happened? If an individual, if if an individual if an individual or we can say that if an Indian citizen left India, Indian citizen left India for the purpose of employment to outside India. If an Indian citizen left India for the purpose of employment to outside India, म्हणजे इंडियन सिटीजन इंडिया सोडून जातो कशासाठी फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ जॉब एम्प्लॉयमेंट आउटसाइड इंडिया or we can say that if an Indian origin citizen came to India for the purpose of visit to India. Suppose Indian origin means what? The person who is living outside India or some other countries, but he is a Indian origin. Sometime what happened? Your great grandfather they left the India and they are living in America, and now their grandsons they are coming for visit purpose in our country. So we can say that they are the Indian origin citizens. There are number of Many citizens are the Indian citizens. They are doing job. They are living there outside countries. So such Indian origin citizens, if they came to India and their purpose is visit to India, such category persons, such particular conditions or such category persons, we have to consider whether now our question is whether they can become a resident in India or not. That we have to find out. Now, now friends, here if an individual citizen left India for the purpose of employment to outside India, or an Indian origin citizen come to India for the purpose of visits, such individual also treated as a resident or non-resident, and for that purpose they must satisfy one condition. Such individual must satisfy following condition. See friends, here what I say, if an individual who is a citizen and he left India for the purpose of employment, and such individual, or if an Indian origin citizen came to India for the purpose of visit to India, under such circumstances, such individual must satisfy this particular condition. The condition is if he is in India 182 days or more in previous year, he must satisfy only one condition. There is no first, second condition. For our general public, means Indian public, he can satisfy any one condition out of two conditions. But this particular exceptional category, these persons are called as the exceptional categories persons. Exceptional cases. There are two exceptional cases. First, if an individual left India for the purpose of employment, if an Indian origin citizen came to India for the purpose of visit, such individual must satisfy following condition. Condition is if he is in India 182 days or more in previous year. Okay, fine. Do you have any doubt? Any doubt is there? You can ask question. कोणाला काय डाऊट आहे का असं का these are the conditions and you must be followed. These conditions are there in our Income Tax Act 1961, and they are provided these numbers, these dates, and you should follow the all conditions. Yes, do you have any doubt regarding the resident status under section 6? Yes, कोणाला काय डाऊट आहे का? Say yes or no. Yes, do you have any doubt? don't have any doubt. Okay, now I will be continue right now. What I will do, we have further notes that I want to share with you. Before that, we will discuss one more thing, that is a scope of income as section 5, that I will share right now. Now friends, we have discussed about the exceptional cases right now. There are two exceptional conditions that we have discussed. Indian citizen who left India for the purpose of employment, and Indian origin citizen who visit India during the previous year, he must satisfy the first condition. And the condition is, if he is in India 182 days or more in previous year. Now we will discuss resident. Now after completing the conditions and after satisfying the conditions, in order to become resident and ordinary resident, that is R and OR, and resident but not ordinary resident, that is RPNOR. An individual must satisfy further two conditions. An individual must satisfy further two conditions. Now, two conditions are: a resident who further satisfies this following two conditions will become resident and ordinary resident. Now, what are the two conditions? The condition number one, he should have been in India 2 years out of 10 previous years, immediately preceding previous year in which he is resident. His previous year 2020-21, preceding is before the previous year 10 years, it means back 10 years. Previous year is 2020-21, and before that 10 years we have to stay in India at least 2 years. Then such individual is satisfied this particular condition, we can say that. Now second condition, he should have been in India for the period of 730 days or more during 7 years, immediately preceding that previous year. Now previous year 2020-21, before the previous year, in 7 years, he should have been in India at least 730 days. At least before the previous year's 7 years. Before the previous year's 7 years, he must satisfy this particular conditions. If it satisfies the both the conditions, he will be treated as a resident and ordinary resident. Resident and ordinary resident. One thing you have to keep in mind, he must satisfy both the conditions. Then we can say that he is a resident and ordinary resident. Now friends, whenever we will talk about the resident and ordinary resident, and resident but not ordinary resident. Resident but not ordinary resident means what? If an individual does not satisfy both the conditions, then we can say that he is a resident but not ordinary resident. He is a resident but not ordinary resident. Now, there are three categories of the residential status. There are three categories. First is RNOR, resident and ordinary resident. Second one is RBNR, resident but not ordinary resident. And third category, non-resident. Third category, non-resident. Now, under section 5, provide some incomes of an individual. If an resident is individual is a RNOR, whether it is satisfied or not, whether such income is taxable or not. If the resident is RBNR, whether such whatever income earned by that particular individual, whether it is taxable or not. So we should study here right now section 5, and in that we will discuss if an individual is a RNOR, RBNR or NR, whether his income is taxable or non-taxable. Section 5. Let's see friends, these are 5 rules are there under section 5. Income received and arises in India, it is taxable to RNOR, RBNR and NR. If the income arises in India but received outside India, it means in India, received outside India, then taxable to RNOR, RBNR and NR. Income received in India but arises outside India, taxable to RNOR, RBNR and NR. Then income received and arise outside India, the taxable only RNOR. It is not taxable to RBNR and NR. If the income received and arises outside as a business income but controlled from India, it is taxable to RNOR and RBNR. It is not taxable to NR. It is not taxable to NR. These 5 conditions mentioned in our scope of income under section 5, and it is very important for exam point of view. Now friends, on this basis, this particular theory part is over. Now what I will do, I want to share this some notes to you. I will give this particular notes in a PDF form to you, and what you have to do, you have to see the notes of the residential status, see the notes of the scope of income, and you should write in your notebook. Then you can easily understand the concept of the residential status and scope of income under section 5. I will give PDF form that I will share in the WhatsApp group. You have to see and write. Now we have one more lecture, but for such lectures I will send first PDF. You should write that particular notes in your notebook, and detailed notes if it is there. I already sent one PDF. You know that you wrote the notes of the first PDF. Yes or no? तुम्ही अगोदरच्या पीडीएफच्या नोट्स लिहिल्या होत्या का? Now second PDF I will share right now, and तुम्ही इथेच बसा, मी तुम्हाला व्हॉट्सअप ग्रुप वरती ते शेअर करतोय, आणि त्यामध्ये तुम्ही परत त्या नोट्स वहीमध्ये लिहून काढा. नेक्स्ट आता जे आपण स्टडी केलं त्या नोट्स सुद्धा तुम्ही तुमच्या वहीमध्ये लिहून काढा. रायटिंग वर्क इज व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट बिकॉज दिस पर्टिक्युलर सब्जेक्ट इज अ प्रॅक्टिकल सब्जेक्ट आणि आपल्याला मॅक्सिमम प्रॅक्टिकल वर्क स्टडी केलं पाहिजे. तर पुढचं लेक्चर्स म्हणजे तुमचं फक्त रायटिंग वर्क असेल. आय विल नॉट सेंड अगेन डिस्कस फर्दर. पुढचं डिस्कशन मी करणार नाही. आपण रायटिंग वर्क आता करू. तर आजचं लेक्चर इथेच मी थांबवतो. कोणाला डाऊट असेल तर तुम्हाला मी 1 ते 2 मिनिटं देतो. If you have any doubt, you can ask the question. Yes, कोणाला डाऊट असेल तर विचारा. फक्त विनोद पाटीलने पाठवलाय सर सेंड द बोथ द पीडीएफ प्लीज. ओके, दोन्ही पीडीएफ पाठवतो, आजचं आणि अगोदरच्या लेक्चरचं. व्हॉट अबाउट अदर डाऊट? से एनी डाऊट रिगार्डिंग सब्जेक्ट? सब्जेक्ट बद्दल सांगा. व्हॉट अबाउट तुमचे ऍडमिशन झाले का? येस और नो?
No, sir.
Speak loudly. Hello?
No, sir.
काय?
No, sir.
एकानेच बोला. हॅलो, बोला. मला काय ऐकायला झालं नाही. येस अंकिता,
No, sir.
कधी होणार आहे? तुम्हाला टॅक्स मिळाला का? टॅक्स हा सब्जेक्ट मिळाला? ऍडमिशन
Yes.
मिळाला?
No.
ठीक आहे. तर मी ते स्टॉप करतोय. तुम्हाला पीडीएफ मी सेंड करतोय. पीडीएफ च्या नोट्स
Yes,
तुम्ही.
sir. Both PDF send, sir, please.
ओके, आय विल सेंड बोथ द. ओके.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
बाय. गुड नाईट.
Bye, sir. Good night.